Yes, it's time for another album ranking. Today, we're ranking the French black metal band Merrimack. Now, some of you have probably never heard of Merrimack, but I have to say they are a pretty solid band. With only just 6 albums, with their debut releasing back in 2002, they are an underground band sounding very similar to bands like Nightbringer, Aosof, and Behixen. It's a dark and horror atmospheric black metal that a lot of people seem to enjoy. So, a little bit of history. Merrimack was formed in 1994, but they released Ashes of Purification 8 years later, which was their debut. From then, they were consistent, releasing another 6 albums. The latest album was from this year, and this is how I discovered them. I borrowed my way through the discography like a tiny worm and discovered the sounds of Merrimack. So, sit back and relax, and let's fucking rank Merrimack's discography. So, it pains me to put this last, but upon listening to Merrimack's release this year of Grace and Gravity, I found myself hesitant to place it among the best metal albums of the year, in comparison to other black metal and metal albums from this year. It simply did not meet the same standard, in my opinion. Personally, I consider this album to be the weakest in Merrimack's discography, as it has failed to grow on me since its release. So, I really enjoyed this album, don't get me wrong, but it seems that Merrimack may have strayed away from experimenting from their sound on this album, resulting in a lackluster experience for me. While tracks like Saphirian Synods, Wounds That Heal, Under the Aimless Spheres, and Starving Crowns stands out as highlights, the overall lack of innovation leaves much to be desired. That's until I heard this album and I said, "Whoa, I got to check out the rest of the discography." And to me, this is their weakest album. Despite a return to a more atmospheric style, it is not enough to elevate Of Grace and Gravity above the status of being their weakest album in my eyes. When I think of Merrimack, this album does not immediately come to mind, as it fails to leave a lasting impression compared to the previous releases. So yeah, this album is last. When Merrimack released Omegaphilia in 2017, I was excited to dive into the work. While I appreciate the focus on a black and death sound in this release, I couldn't help but feel that it fell slightly short compared to the causal mass. The album lacked the atmospheric and chilling vibe that had drawn me to the music before. Although the aggressive vocals and intricate guitar work were present, there was a certain spark missing from this album, Omegaphilia. Despite standout tracks like The Falsified Sun and The Cesspool Coronation, I found myself revisiting this album less frequently than the earlier discography. As I listened through the album, I couldn't shake the feeling that it was their weakest link in Merrimack's catalogue apart from their latest album. While there were undoubtedly moments of brilliance and technical prowess on Omegaphilia, there were also instances where it felt like Merrimack was just treading familiar ground, like treading familiar water without offering anything truly groundbreaking. So yeah, that would be my second weakest. The causal mass, while a solid effort by Merrimack, falls a bit short in my opinion compared to their other works. The songwriting is good, yet somewhat predictable, leaning towards more technicality and straying from the eerie atmosphere of their previous releases. Standout tracks like Abortion Light, Beatty, SD, Cum, Maledrix and Vobis, and Gospel of the Void shine on this record. However, the production quality seems to dip compared to the previous albums, presenting a different sound for the band overall. That's because they had a different band lineup. The guitar tone also takes on a new direction to this album. While I do find enjoyment in this release, it lacks the atmospheric depth found in the other works, with tracks like Liminal Matter Corruption featuring avant-garde guitar elements. The album offers a fun fucking listen with progressive nuances. Although it may grow on me with repeated plays, I still view it as Causal Max as Merrimack's third weakest album. In my opinion, the debut album Ashes of Purification by Merrimack, released back in 2002, is a very tight and cohesive record filled with atmosphere. Personally, I really enjoyed Satayo's harsh and aggressive vocals that convey a lot of emotion throughout the album. The thunderous drumming and standout tracks like Suicide, The Fall Amongst the Legion Slaves, and Horns Defeat Thorns, featuring an eerie guitar riff, makes this album a strong start to the musical journey. While I feel that this album is perhaps the happiest sounding among Merrimack's discography, it's a lot better than the albums I've mentioned before. It doesn't quite capture the same horror atmosphere as the later works, as their mid-era works. Overall, I still think it's a good album from beginning to end. In my view, it is one of the weakest albums, which is unusual for a debut. Nevertheless, Merrimack's evolution shows that they are only getting better with time. In my opinion, Merrimack underwent a complete transformation with their sophomore album of Entropy and Denial. This record exuded a more misanthropic and heavier vibe, introducing like spooky fucking melodies and featuring the intense violent vocals of Terrorist, the new vocalist. While only Necroloff remained as the original member on this album, his thunderous drumming continued to stand out. The band delved into experimentation, incorporating progressive and technical elements that made for a captivating listening experience. Personally, this album ranks as one of my favorites by Merrimack, thanks to the fantastic guitar work that creates those haunting fucking riffs and solos. The dark and atmospheric feel of the album, enhanced by the repetitive themes, truly immerses you in a hellish landscape. Standout tracks like Seraphic Conspiracy, Redeem Restless Souls, and The Birth of Lights of Sacerdocy showcases the band's musical prowess on this album. In my view, this album surpasses their debut in terms of quality and innovation. And my favorite album, Grey Rigorism, released in 2009, stands out as a truly exceptional album that captivated me from beginning to fucking end. Immutable convictions, blind arise to defiance, and force us to the grace of God. The eerie guitars, thunderous sounds, and heightened horror elements sets it apart from Merrimack's previous works, and Merrimack's works after on this album undeniably outstanding, marking one of the pinnacle performances in the band's discography. The dark melodies and searing guitar solos add a fucking layer of brilliance, elevating the album to a whole new fucking level. The extended song lengths, characteristic of black metal artistry, offer an enthralling experience, particularly in tracks like The Golden Door and the hauntingly heavy Kazyaf Ra. Cold Earth Morning with its slow and melancholic fucking tones showcases crushing riffs and guttural vocals that leave a lasting fucking impact. Okay, darling, I'm just nearly finished filming, but I'll come and pick you up soon. Showcases crushing riffs and guttural fucking vocals that leave a lasting impact. Personal favorites like When the Stars Align and the epic 13-minute fucking masterpiece of Be Thy Grace feature intricate sections that evoke intense emotions. From the haunting atmosphere to the razor-sharp guitar work and the vocals, Grey Rigorism emerges as a remarkable album that maintains its brilliance throughout, solidifying its place as one of the Merrimack's finest achievements. It's my favorite fucking album by them. So yeah, that's it for Merrimack's Albums Rank. Hope you guys did enjoy. Let me know your favorites down below. It's been fun, and I'll see you in the next one.